nice.
Bend you. There's a bro. That song makes it sounds like PG-13. I want to know the kind of sex Omah Lay is having.
Like, I listened to some of the lyrics from that album.
Yeah.
Like, where is this coming from?
Bro, that boy has some very, very wild coping mechanisms. He's a life of celebrity. Sounds like it's like a 60s rock star sometimes. Bend you, your mother call you. Say your leg, was your leg to start to shake like so you get epilepsy.
Like,
Shout Omah Lay. Credible writer.
very, very interesting album.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think Omah Lay really impacted the sound of Nigerian music, or was it out there?
So I think I was speaking with an OG yesterday, I don't know if I should mention his name, and he gave me an argument that Alter was very influential in slowing down the tempo of the music. I think maybe that was influential. I think you have to give them credit for some of the things they did and the aesthetics that they contribute. And the aesthetics, they contribute aesthetically to Nigerian music and where we currently are. Dark themes, avant-garde culture, retro culture, the return of trench suits. They were very, very influential on that. And that's just where Gen Z is as a culture, right? As a people. Because nothing is new, the world everything just keeps going and coming back. Boot cuts are back. Bro, it's 2022. If you wore boot cuts in 2012, bro, they'll ask you, do you want to sweep the floor? Bro, that's like, it's just life, right? But in the sense, so I think those guys were very influential, but Omah Lay was particularly more influential in the sense that it made bigger records than they ever did. That's one. Because Alter never really crossed over to the mainstream. And I can't categorically say that Alter influenced someone like Omah Lay particularly well. But the good thing about influence is it doesn't necessarily have to hit you directly. It just has to be in the air for you to be able to digest it subconsciously. And then it impacts the things you can do. But the thing about Omah Lay was, and then there was the impact of like foreign influence of cloud rap and emo, slowed down music, Triple X Tentacion, Koda Black, right? All these boys making like, and this guy that passed, Juice WRLD, making music that are very, very psychedelic, right? So these guys, a lot of these young guys, they were listening and consuming some of these guys, right? And maybe someone like Paris. So, but the thing is, the reason why Omah Lay was particularly influential was because we were at home. We were not going to clubs. We were not going out. It was lockdown. Omah Lay's success was incredibly backed up by lockdown. And his team got their marketing spot on, especially on radio and on streaming platforms. The music was the perfect accomplice to lockdown. So after the challenge was the early thing that we turned to during lockdown, but people started signing up to music platforms more, people got on Audio Mac more, people got on Apple Music more. Omah Lay's music was sort of the one thing that refused to go away because his team was incredible with the marketing and because the music was also very, very good. Shout out to Omah Lay, I told him when I was interviewing him that is someone on Keycard. So shout out to Marshall, who works with Keycard, right? He came to see me. We met up in December 2019 or January 2020, and he played me Omah Lay's EP. He sent it to me, bro. I'm not going to lie, I didn't like it. I told him, I didn't like it. Later, I liked you, and I like Do Not Disturb. If I'm not wrong, I think it was on the first part of the EP. Anyway, fast forward, it becomes the biggest thing of 2020, right? And then it created some incredible collaboration. It was on Infinity, and closed the year out with What Have We Done? We Produced Godly. So I think slowing down the music, I will give it to Omah Lay but I would not particularly place it on the back of Omah Lay. I would also say time-favored Omah Lay in the sense of how his impact affected the music because people couldn't go out. People were not dancing. People were not going to clubs. We were not in social gatherings. People were basically at home for like 6 to 7 months doing next to nothing. Offices just started resuming back. Most offices are resuming back. Especially, so the thing is, the people on the social media that could really impact the consumption of Omah Lay, and now we could track it. We can't track it exactly on Facebook. We can track it on a place like Twitter and Instagram, right? The cool kids that are on Twitter, for example, there are people that work for companies that probably where people work from home for the larger parts of 2020. When there was also curfew. Remember, there was curfew until last year, or this year even.
Yeah.
Right? And when the type of music, people also signed into streaming platforms, Netflix, all of them, all the streaming platforms enjoyed like a spike in the consumer acquisition, subscriber acquisition that they did during that year. So I don't think you can especially take it out, but I think it also benefited from the time that he dropped it or that launched it.
Which song do you think made him a star, Godly or Bad Influence?
Godly, 1000%. 1000% godly. Easy. Bad Influence in another year might not. I don't know if Bad Influence. I mean, the strategy was fantastic. And it was a different time. And you can't exactly say, oh, you were, because this happened. Now you can't, if it was another time, it wouldn't have happened. We don't know. But if I had to put my money on Bad Influence on another time, I'll probably not choose it as a lead single. I'll probably have chosen Lulu. Do you understand? Because Bad Influence is just different. It sounds like a whiskey record, but it's just so different. I wouldn't, bro, it's an R&B record. It's an R&B record. So I wouldn't, on another time, 9 times out of 10, it might not have been that big in another year. But Godly was just, the day Godly dropped, Confession was my fave on the EP, or the second EP. But Godly was the conversation the day it dropped. Everybody knew that Godly was the one. Right? Because the messaging was incredible, the songwriting was incredible. You could move to the song a little bit, so it was different. So don't even tell me that you didn't know. And then when that happened, I remember tweeting that, bruh, when this guy gets back from Uganda, this song is going to go through the roof. And it did. Because it suits the narrative. It was, imagine if Godly had dropped after. And it was a good thing that they dropped the video after they came back from Uganda. And it just went through the roof, bro. Through the roof. So I would say Godly is the one because the size of Bad Influence was huge. Don't get, bro, Bad Influence was big, especially digitally. And it probably laid down the blueprint that Omah Lay could be a strong digital artist throughout his career. But Godly was both online and offline, digitally, airplay, offline, huge, bro. And the relatability of Godly is higher than that of Bad Influence. When you break it down to the sum of the parts. Bad Influence, Godly is grass to grey story. That's Nigeria's bread and butter. Tell me that thank God I got him. Say God no ungodly. In a country that is highly religious, bro, come on, man.
You lap that stuff.
Come on.
All right, so some people are of the opinion that I had a mixed 2021. Do you think this is true?
Yeah. So last year we put Omah Lay at the top of our list of 2021, right? Hottest Nigerian artist of 2021, and it caused ruckus. It caused ruckus because people felt like it was undisputed Buju. It came down to a split decision because Buju had the best story during the year. It's like NBA MVP during the year. It's not NBA MVP is not who had the best season. It's who had the best narrative. So last year Buju had the best narrative, and it performed incredibly well as well. So it was very tough for people to see other people that were doing great that could have maybe been slightly better than Buju. Do you understand? So with Omah Lay, a lot of the things that he did in the latter parts of 2020 spilled on into 2021. So you're looking at Godly. Godly really, really got big in Q1 2021. It was big in Q4 2020, but Q1 2021 was when it was out of here. Infinity, he joined Olamide, was also very, very big in Q1 2020. As a matter of fact, in other parts of Africa, it was in Q1, Q2 2021 that the song really got big. Pronto, with Ajebo Hustlers. Bro, now you're looking at it, right? Huge as well. Forever with Jackie. Exactly. And then later in the year, it dropped Understand. So it didn't have an average year by any means. Do you understand? So what people need to understand, when you sit down, now a lot of those were features, right? But Understand was a big song as well. So when it came down to it, the trump card for us was, what's Buju's biggest song as a solo artist? What's Omah Lay's biggest song as a solo artist? Buju's biggest song as a solo artist last year was probably Outside. Probably. Arguably Outside. And when we stack that up against Understand, it's not as big as Understand. Obviously not. So we're like, bruh, come on. Let's just go with the thing that was staring us in the face. So when it came down to it, that was the trump card. So I don't understand how people can say that. I mean, I get how people can overlook things. Someone also had to point it out to me. I didn't say it. Let me not even lie to you. I did not. We had made the list and someone said, bruh, let's look at Omah Lay, bruh. And then we sat down like, bruh, it was a no-brainer, to be honest. It was a no-brainer. So it wasn't mixed by any means. I mean, Free My Mind it should never have dropped. You like the song?
I like that song.
I mean, I get the idea behind it. It was meant to give Omah Lay like it was a different idea. I think it should have maybe come on the album. Does that make sense? I think it should have been part of the album, maybe like as an outro or something, or second to the last track. Like if you want to make that type of move, it's risky to make it as a single, especially in this climb where there's this climb that is very unpredictable.
Okay, so how do you think this influenced Boy Alone as a title?
So the idea of Boy Alone is, this guy came from the trenches in Port Harcourt. Like during myself and Kemi Small's interview with him, he told us that, bro, he's from the trenches, like the trenches. This is a boy that came from the trenches who was a producer. A lot of the 2020 generation, 2019 generation, they knew him first as producer initially, right? And then it became an artist. And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but drop one EP out of here. Drop the second EP out of here. Third year, didn't drop any EP, still out of here. You start touring. You do a North American tour, you do this tour, you do that tour, you are charging millions. Bro, when you are that guy, sometimes it creates an identity crisis because all of a sudden, all the things you dreamt of, they are not here. But maybe you didn't realize that it's not solving anything. You feel alone more than ever. Maybe you didn't realize that your comfort wasn't going to come from money. Your warmth wasn't going to come from, maybe it's the concept of family. Do you understand? Maybe being with your family is actually what gives you comfort. Maybe it's not making the most money in the world. Because now he was out of Port Harcourt, he was living in Lagos. He was getting all the baddies, he was making all the money, he was drinking, going everybody knew his name. But bro, when people say money doesn't solve every problem, doesn't solve all your problems in the world, we tend to say, my brother, let me make the money first. It's better to be crying in a limousine or to be crying in a Bentley than to be crying in Danfo. It's it's better. Do you understand? Right? But at the same time, if it was that easy, a lot of wealthy people wouldn't be committing suicide. It's not that easy. Mental health is also about chemical imbalances and some other things in life. And sometimes mental health struggles are also from like existential questions. Like, okay, is this it? Okay, this is everything. Like, you lose the excitement, the success, the bluster of success dries up at some point or disappears at some point, and then you are left with existential questions. You are not alone, but you feel alone. That's why a lot of celebrities or a lot of footballers sometimes, when they are moving, when clubs sign them as teenagers, they move their families with them. Do you understand? So they have the warmth, they have the comfort, or sometimes people are moving with their girlfriends. So someone like this, existential questions, felt alone, depression, existential questions, fears, doubts, because now you're also thinking, how do I sustain this? What if? What if the next single doesn't pop? Because, bro, the fear of anybody that has been in the trenches, that came out of the trenches, is not to go back to the trenches. That's where therapy comes in, to make you realize that calm down and do your best, live in the moment. Because it's very hard not to think about the possibility of going back to that. So when you think about, like, look at someone like Dennis Rodman, for example. Even though his own was more severe, it felt like a different person in his own body. You understand? So him doing all that stuff, painting his hair, it was after a suicide attempt that he botched. So he just came back and, you know what? Fuck all you niggas. This is what I want to do now. So that's the thing with someone here. He's a young man. He's quite young. Omah Lay is young. Making all this money. So it's normal to have all these things.
How good is Boy Alone as an album?
I think it's really good. As an album, Boy Alone is so good. I gave it an 8.2, 8.4 over 10. It's very good. Like, what an album should be. I feel like sometimes people mistake Gbedu, an album filled with Gbedu, for a good album. Nah. I mean, sometimes it can be, but an album is an experience, right? Like, music consumption is very subjective. Don't get me wrong. But even people that consume Gbedu know what is a good album and what isn't, if they are being very objective. Like, I can understand an album filled with Gbedu, but I can also understand that an album filled with Gbedu cannot. But this album it has its own Gbedu side, but the experience is so good. Do you understand? Like, first track, Recognize. All the way from Vertasai. The next track is I, about himself. I cannot be nobody for life. Do you understand? Like, that's the manifesto, that's the mindset he came with to Lagos. It doesn't, waka, no fits me. It no fits me. What fits me is, bro, the badges and the money. To be touring and for people to be screaming my name. Superstar, lifestyle, that's what fits me. Nobody can feel relate. When you go back to his album, all of my guys are, God is not a man, no. Like, nobody can relate to what he's doing. So, when you think about Omah Lay, he's always documented his life in his music. Do you understand? Like, if you want to know his mindset, you can always get it through his music. He's documenting his life in real time. Look at the singles that he dropped before this album. Understand? Free My Mind. Free My Mind, as much as a lot of people don't like it. Free my mind, oh. It's about using alcohol as escapism. As a coping, yes, that's what it is.
Maybe that's why I like the song.
I mean, adulting, bro. Adulting, we have been doing that, right? So, look at it, like, the music has always reflected his life. Then the third track is Bend You, almost like, okay, now that we have achieved success, is Bend You. Like, I'm having the wildest sex in the world, right? You know that song is very, very wild. Normally, call me. Give me the links to your bodies, bro. Bro, that song is ridiculous, right? Then you can also see that his singles make sense on the album, make better sense. Woman made more sense, especially Attention. Attention is way better as part of this album than as a single. Yeah. It's way better as part of this album, way better. Like, you now understand what attention means. That's why an album is important, especially when it's an experience. Like, I need my attention. Like, it is attention because Boy Alone. Do you understand? Like, it makes sense conceptually. And the track listing of the album is so good. The only thing I would change is I would bring the second to the last track. I'll take it after Attention. I put it in my review, right? The second to the last track, I'll put it after Attention. I'll let it read from there. You understand? That's the only thing I would change about this. That's the only thing I'll change about the track list of this album. But everything else, from track 1 to the end, you can understand where he was using sex as a coping mechanism. Temptation, bro. Marisa. Bro, come on. It's so good. Breaking it back to back to back and then to the track with Teiwa where it was using love as safe haven. Bro, it makes sense. It's so like, and then the songwriting on this album this is the making of Omah Lay as an artist. In terms of, people have always said it's a fantastic songwriter, but no. This album and the way he was able to bring his reality into the music, it's so honest. We don't see artists be this honest and very transparent. It doesn't usually happen, but it's happened here. Songwriting, fantastic. So I think it's a really, really good album. I think it's a really good album.
Right. So you say the album is good, but what makes it good?
I mean, those are the things that I just broke down, basically.
Okay. So please, can you rank like the best songs on this album?
But before the album dropped, Benji was the one. I rinsed that, bro. I rinsed that song before the album dropped. But just a few days before the album dropped, the song that really, really started taking it, that really had me in a chokehold was Temptations. Temptations had me in a chokehold. I think Temptations is my favorite now. I think it's a really, really good song. Temptations, So-So. Temptations, So-So. Safe Haven. Jericho with Teiwa. And then Benji. These are my favorites now. Easy, those are the top 5.
So, I mean, you've given this album a good review, but why do you think the album is not getting the props it deserves?
I think the Omah Lay brand just became a little aloof. Like, it was about the music throughout 2020. The music was the major driving force behind the Omah Lay brand. And to be honest, it didn't have to do anything else in a year that was about lockdown. People didn't even have to know his face, but they knew his name and they knew his music. Do you understand? So the music was good enough to power him. So in 2021, what I didn't realize was the reason why a lot of people were saying that the success he had in 2021 wasn't as visible to people was because now it has to be about the brand more than the music, because now the world was back to normal. And it's beyond social media, it's more about being a brand. Like, this thing that he's currently doing on social media will change a lot for him. I mean, it's not exactly the best thing, but we are seeing something aside from, the cool, calm, collected Omah Lay that just wants to calm down and make music. Bro, we can see someone showing emotions and ranting. He looks like a real human being now. Do you understand? So the personality, it was a little aloof and it was a little unassuming, and it felt like a brand that was too distant. Do you understand? So music was sort of bridging the gap and solving some problems, but that was sort of what was missing. Does that make sense? That part was sort of missing. And before the album then dropped, Understand was big, but Attention, maybe not as much. Woman, maybe not as much. Woman, although Woman is still growing, but maybe not as much. Not an Understand, for example. So the album, and then Free My Mind, now, just didn't work. So the thing about the album was the activities leading up to the album were not exact. For an album that's this good, it needed, aside from Understand that had already worked, it needed something that was going to scatter everywhere. You understand? Yeah. One of the reasons why Laughter, Tears, and Goosebumps really took off was because of, one of the reasons why, aside from the fact that it was also a really good album, was Scatter. Do you understand? Scatter. Okay. Is this Scatter? What's that other song? This Scatter. Scatter, exactly. Scatter was one of the reasons why it worked was because Scatter was, I've never liked Scatter in my life. I can't stand the song. I can't stand it. But my brother, it was necessary at the time. You understand? It was necessary at the time for that album because it had dropped Jealous. They brought King back. They brought Sing back. They released What If I Say. None of them were as big as Jealous. But the moment Scatter came out, everywhere really, really scattered. And then Vibration dropped as part of the album. And then it sustained the album. Like, the way they shot the videos for the album sustained the album. So, and then the marketing for the album was also very fantastic because on the day, influencer marketing alone was ridiculous. So, influencer, the noise that was coming from the album made people want to go listen to the album. It didn't help on the day that Omah Lay dropped that Ruga and Buju decided to start fighting. It didn't help. So it sort of deflected attention. But I like the way that he tied into that controversy. I like the way it aired his mind at that time because now the conversation also became about him. I like that. But the thing is, listen to hindsight is 2020, right? Hindsight is very good. So I'm talking from hindsight right now. But if it was me, what I would have done with that album was, after Understand, the single that I would have dropped was, if they had made it at the time, especially after Attention. Okay, let's say after Attention. I don't think Attention should have even been a lead single. It should have been a single for this album. I think it should have been on this album. It should have been the shocker for people on this album. So would have been my single. So would have been my single. And another thing about the Omah Lay thing that I think is also a little aloof in the sense that it seems a little elitist to people for a Port Harcourt boy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Seems a little aloof and elitist. So the Nigerian features on this album were not Lamba people. This album would have been nice with sprinkles of some Lamba. Now people are going to draw inferences and say Fireboy did it. The difference between Fireboy and Omah Lay is Fireboy was backed by Olamide and was signed to YBNL. So he inherited a lot of mainstream fans. Omah Lay is having to build his own and earn his own. So sometimes to help that, you need to jump on other people's brands. So on a so I would have put Kiss Daniel on the record. Me personally. I would have put Kiss, okay, let's say Omah Lay is a streaming artist and you want to make it big digitally. Make it Nigerian and international versions. I would have put Kiss Daniel and Techno on that song. Both of them together. Yes! Because the moment Kiss Daniel is having a fantastic year, the moment people hear click, it's over. It's all over. It's over. Like, it's fine for us to, yes, he's a digital artist and he has a lot of fan base scattered across the world. Yes, I get that. But sometimes the home front is also how the song goes out there.
Yeah.
Do you get? It's good when the song goes out from the home front. So that's what I would have done. That's what I would have done personally. And then the attention on the album would have been my trump card. I would let people discover it on the album. Again, hindsight, because I know what I know now. I didn't know it at the time. Now, attention did numbers digitally, obviously because it's Justin Bieber. Monthly active listeners will have gone up. But bro, is it the record that a lot of people, people like it. I can sing every word of the song, but is it something that the Soso that could have scattered ground here? Probably not, because Soso could have scattered ground here and been big enough for monthly active listeners to Spotify. Now you can then go and put a foreign artist on it to do the rest. That's what I say. So that's one thing I'll change about the album. The singles is not there, and then now that the album is out, I would like to see some marketing. It's very hard, bro, these days. It's very hard to market an album these days. In an unpredictable ecosystem like this, is very, very hard. But my brother, the marketing, especially influencers. So I used to criticize artists and their teams for using influencers. But bro, these days, you gotta do what you gotta do, bro. Because it's so hard right now in this industry to maintain attention. And especially when an album is that good. Like, I don't want it to be in 10 years. In 3 years, I don't want people to have a conversation about albums, classic albums, and not be able to talk about this album. Because sometimes a good album needs a trump card. Do you understand? It needs something that will be forced through. If it's forced through, narrative is going to change. Essence, a lot of people would have still been dancing the quality of Middle Lagos without Essence. Trust me. That's how people are built. That's how people are built. You and I, we are different because we can listen to an album and say, okay, without Essence, this album is really good on its own. It's good on its own, but people are not built like that. They need to see something that they can tie to the success of the album. That's how people are. So that's one thing one single is forced through, one or two singles are forced through, everything changes. That's it.
So, what are the things you change in the album aside the track list?
Aside from the track listing, I'll like one or two more features. Aside from the social feature, I'll like to have put another feature on another song, maybe on Woman, maybe put Jackie on it because of the Jackie or maybe King Promise or whoever, someone that has good streaming reps, maybe Jackie. I'll put Jackie on it, but because him and Jackie also made Forever, which was quite huge, so maybe repeat something like that. And I put Jackie on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this last question, I like this question because I mean you talked about his brand
Yeah,
being
yeah,
aloof,
yeah.
and we've also seen examples of some other people's brands that are not so. I mean they are not aloof, but I
Yeah.
mean they can come off as negative and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So what do you think he can change about his brand?
I think one of the best things that happened to Thames was when she got back from Uganda, she started the rant on social media. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. The rant was very good for her brand perception. That rant. Omah Lay needs a controversy. Yeah. A major one. It needs one. It's too clean currently, yeah. It's a little too clean. It needs something. Something that would just change everything. I don't know what it is, but it needs a controversy. If that happens, you'll see how the changes will happen. That's it. And that's facts for me.